Yo, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well. It's Oscar, and it's going to be another little weekly stock market update, kind of going into the next week, what we can expect, what companies have earnings, and kind of what's been happening. So, as always, we'll kind of begin off with SPY. And SPY had an interesting, I guess we could say last week it was up basically $8, which is awesome to see in the week. But here on Wednesday, I did have a pretty heavy sell-off. If I remember on Wednesday, it was the day... Was it the day that Biden was speaking? It was either Wednesday or Thursday when Biden was speaking. But anyways, I believe it was Wednesday because the market didn't react well at all. So there was a heavy $7 sell-off before selling off even more into basically the end of Friday, or the end of Thursday, is basically a $13 sell-off, and then Friday was kind of a regainer day. Started off a little rocky, kind of hit 448 and then dropped all the way down here to 444, but then rallied all the way up here to 452 before mysteriously again selling off like it did. I believe it was last week, or similar to how it did on Wednesday. It kind of rallied up, and then towards the end of the day it just sold off out of nowhere. So really interesting kind of what happened. And it could have been with earnings stuff. Wednesday could have even been with Facebook earnings, because Facebook absolutely tanked earnings. So that could have been a big contributor to this. I believe it was last week though that Biden was speaking, so big happening there. But like I said, Friday was a positive day, rallied all the way up to 452 before selling off again, which is interesting to see. So that is SPY. Ford definitely didn't have the greatest of weeks last week. It was staying steady at this $20-$21 area for the longest time. Earnings came around on Thursday after hours, and they missed big time. Sold off heavily into Friday, all the way down to lows of 1758. But it did kind of start coming back up and did hit $18 in after hours. So I guess it was a little, I guess we could say reset for Ford. It's been on a run for the last, we could say, almost 4 months. Hit highs of 25. I think it was 26 or 27 at 1.2. But ever since January, it's been selling off, and I don't think there's been too much good news being that coming out of Ford, because Ford CEO just made a convincing case to break his company up and go full EV. That's kind of good. Ford confirms production will be rolled back at some plants next week, and I've been hearing a little other couple things, but interesting to see what kind of Ford did last week. It kind of sucked. My options didn't really go as planned, so just something to look forward to in the next earnings play, or let's say if I stick to my SPY day trading strategy. But next one, we're going to look at Pfizer. Pfizer has earnings Tuesday before opening. Over the last month, Pfizer is down 5%. Friday it was down 0.73%. Last 6 months, so it is still up 15%, which is good to see. Beginning of December, when things were kind of getting back into action, I guess we could say, it did get up to highs of 761, which was interesting, but then just started selling off just like everything else. Since that high, it's down $8.25, and in the last week, just down $1. In the last month, it's down 5%. So the last earnings, I guess we could say, I believe Pfizer's done pretty well on earnings. So Q3, Q2, Q1, they all beat. Q3 beat it by 23.5 per 23.5%. Q2 beat it by 9%, and revenue they've been beating in the last 3 quarters. So could we see a continuation of this trend? Sure. With all the vaccines they've been producing and all kinds of stuff like that, there is definitely a possibility that they could beat earnings again, which would be awesome, because Pfizer calls tend to be usually pretty cheap, and you can kind of load up on them and a little bit out of the money, and then hopefully it hits and it kind of spikes. So that's a little thing about Pfizer. They have been working on this vaccine for younger kids. And here it also says Moderna COVID vaccine recipients have higher risk. That's interesting. But I know Pfizer has been working on this younger kids vaccine, which is good to see. So it will be interesting if Pfizer does beat earnings. I'm guessing they probably will. Like I said, in the last year or 2 years, they've been beating pretty well on earnings. So definitely a good stock to look at if you're looking for possibly a cheaper play for earnings. Then we have Affirm. Affirm is Thursday after hours. This is the company that kind of works with Shopify and all kinds of other websites to help with payment plans and stuff like that. If we take a zoom out in the last year, Affirm has been up here at 168. That was on November 4th. Now over since then, it's down $105. It's been at lows of $117. But definitely not the greatest past year for Affirm, and not the greatest of last 5 years. But in the last, or at least on Friday, it was up nearly 10%. In the last week, it's up 5%, but in the last month, it's down 21%. So if Affirm can do well on earnings, there's a possibility to get up easily up to probably $70, because once Affirm gets rolling, it definitely moves pretty well. So shouldn't be a problem to get to 70 if they do beat earnings. As we see, it's already basically $63 after hours. It could be up in the pre-market hours tomorrow or on Monday. So it'll be interesting to see. But Affirm is definitely one of those stocks if you kind of want a long-term stock. I believe Affirm is a great one. Interesting thing what happened to Peloton after hours. So Peloton was basically dead Friday, but Peloton after hours spiked at one point 38% before kind of coming down to 26%, but it was up 38% at one point. There was rumors that Amazon had bought it. Amazon named as a possible Peloton buyer, and people are saying that Apple should buy it. But Peloton is kind of after the thing that happened with their last earnings. Well, it wasn't the earnings actually. It was the when apparently the CEO tweeted or told someone that they weren't going to start, or they were going to halt production. That definitely killed the stock. But over the last 6 months, it's down nearly 80%. In the last year, it's down 83%. So Peloton was one of these, I guess you could say, COVID stocks. But in the last year, it hasn't been doing well just because everybody has been going out. But definitely some interesting after hours action on this one, which was interesting. Corsair is reporting earnings Tuesday after hours. Could be a good little play. Should be relatively cheap for options if you are into that. As far as Corsair goes as a long-term stock, I definitely do think it's a good one, especially with all the PC stuff in the last year. It's down 60%. And so it's been at highs of 45, even at $20. $20 seems like a good price for Corsair. So definitely would be a little interesting play if you wanted to play this for earnings. For long term, I definitely think it's a good stock. And then Twitter, Thursday pre-market reports earnings. It'll be interesting. Twitter and Facebook generally share the same kind of things. So like here, I think when Facebook reported earnings, Twitter dropped pretty heavily too. But after that, it's up 10%. So it will be interesting for what Twitter will report. But I just wanted to make this video real quick, kind of before everything kind of gets rolling. And I hope you guys had a good weekend. If you guys enjoyed, please drop a like. If you have any comments, put those down below. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And share this video with your friends, share it with family, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.